Hi, this is Craig Wilson, and this is my documentary on creating a community collaboration called the Digital Wildcat Advisory Partnership. And this is the process of getting the community to help with the input on the adoption of digital instructional and productivity materials. The digital learning department resides within the academics and school leadership within my school district. It originally was part of the technology department, but now is part of instructional learning. It oversees all of the digital instructional materials and most of those productivity applications as well. The decision making for the selection, the evaluation, and the sustainability of the digital materials is done by the academic directors and the deputy superintendent. And while there is a little bit of input from stakeholders, it's not very much, and that's what I hope to resolve. So within this advisory partnership, I would hope that the stakeholders could provide input into the selection and the evaluation of the digital materials that we currently use. I envision the key stakeholders being primarily students and parents, secondary teachers and instructional coaches, and we truly need the support of our community members, especially those who are involved with career and technical education. I've never started up a collaboration before, so I needed to know where to begin. I went to two resources that I am familiar with. One is Susan Wilson, who is the director of Head Start for the EOAC up in Waco, Texas, and the second was Denise Ayers, who is the director of Career and Technical Education for Wildcat Workforce within Temple Independent School District. I asked both of these leaders four different questions. What is the critical importance of that collaboration? What were some of the barriers and how did they overcome them? What are the benefits of working with the community and what were their future aspirations? Fortunately, I did not have to start from scratch. The state of Texas requires that any textbook adoption, which includes instructional materials, has to be done with public comment and input. And within our own local school district, we do that as well based on TEA's says that we have to have input on major curriculum initiatives. And we already have some advisory groups that I've been involved with before, as you've seen the two before this, and then also, for example, the Student Health Advisory Council. With this group, I'd like to start small and start slow. We already have an existing process where we do have the community come in to provide us input. So with the new processes we'd like to do, I'd like to start up with a focus group. And within that focus group, we would need to determine what the stakeholder interest was. Are they aware or do they understand the purpose of digital learning in our school district? And how do they interact with that digital learning? What would be the anticipated outcomes of the partnership? What are some points of pride that we can lean on? And then what are some of the pinch points within which we need to work? But first things first, this focus group would help me with creating those vision and mission statements. Again, those anticipated outcomes, creating those norms of behavior. How are we going to share in the decision making? How do we resolve conflict? And how do we make sure that everyone has a voice in the process? They'd also help with the roles and responsibilities of everyone within the collaboration. What resources do we have uh, at our disposal? And finally, what are some of the protocols that we would say or have to communicate moving forward? We would have some anticipated outcomes for the collaborative group itself. First, we need to describe the functions. So, what are we? What are the, making the visuals and the written documentation on how we operate, and then also looking at some of those websites that we would have to support our learning. We want to provide a voice for all of the members of the collaboration, so we have to make sure that it's convenient, and then create a vehicle for the stakeholders to provide that feedback. Finally, we want to have full transparency. Want to make sure that we communicate out to everyone, our stakeholders, the district, what we're doing and what our anticipated outcomes would be. Have some anticipated outcomes as well. We want to increase that student achievement and we want to make sure that they can transfer their skills to new and novel learning. We need that stakeholder engagement to increase, and that includes the students. We want to make sure that we have diverse representation within the collaboration, and Then we want to be able to have quality decisions so that we can make sure that the materials support diverse and equitable learning, that we are fiscally responsible, and that we improve the satisfaction rate of our stakeholders with our district. This is a different way of looking at some of those anticipated outcomes. I had 3 different questions. What was I going to measure? How would I collect that data? And how would I measure the impact? And you can see them up here on the screen. So we made sure that we considered all 3 of those questions. As a reminder, this is a new project. I did not choose an existing one, so most of this is an anticipated timeline. In September, we did brainstorm and identify and begin to research what the collaboration would look like. In October, we went a little bit further and started coming up with some ideas for plans and stakeholders. What would those objectives and outcomes be, and how would we organize this? But we wanted to wait until November to get that focus group to come in and make that a little bit more solid, talk about that vision, that mission, the purpose, set those norms, and begin the timelines. January and February is the meatiest part of this. This is where we actually are going to need some help before we make our budgetary decisions, where we would showcase some of the tools that we are going to either introduce for the next year or that we are considering resubscribing to. And we would model that, evaluate them, discuss it, make those decisions, and then get that feedback so that we can continuously improve how this collaboration would work. Finally, in March, the collaboration would be able to present their findings to other stakeholders, including the board and the academic departments, and they would be able to celebrate what they've done. In May, we would take a little bit of a break and then come back and talk about the ideation that we have, how would we improve our process, and then how would we iterate it for the following year. Thank you for allowing me this time. Here are some of my references, and if you need to reach me, my name is Craig Wilson, and there's my email address.